Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliate.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations in Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, Ryan Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 33, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 41. Discover macarons like you've never tasted before at Nicolette's Macarons. Pick up a box of elegant French macarons conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue in Plymouth. Perfect for gifts, corporate events, or just for yourself. Stop in or order online at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend Chase Iron Eyes on. He has a distinguished career fighting for the civil rights of Natives, including serving as director of the Lakota People's Law Project, co-founding the Native news website Last Real Indians, and as a Standing Rock activist and work within the Native Lives Matter movement. Chase, thank you so much for stopping in and checking in with our crew out here. It's great to see you.
So good to see you, and it's my honor to be on, Robert.
Yeah, well, you're in the Twin Cities now, and what have you seen, and what is your vibe about what's happening here in the Twin Cities?
We're in unprecedented territory. Those of us in the Native community and those of us who are conscious Americans, conscious patriots, those of us who are paying attention, we see the various iterations and the exercise of brutal, corporate or state-sponsored violence. And my heart is with the people of Minneapolis, St. Paul. I was on the Pine Ridge Reservation and on the Standing Rock Reservation when our good sister lost her life. That's Renee Good. Lost her life to what many Americans and legal professionals feel is unlawful use of deadly force. And you've seen all the videos. I think there's enough out there that an objective and rational potential jury could we can all form our own opinion. But from what I was able to review, there's not a doubt in my mind that a potential jury or a potential prosecutor in and around the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, could bring charges against the person, the shooter. And for me, what was extremely triggering for me after that illegal execution of Renee Good was the Red Lake woman, the woman from the Red Lake Nation who is driving with her 20-year-old nephew. I believe his name is Roberto Beto Rodriguez. I don't remember the name of the woman, but to see the terror in Native people's faces, to see that woman pleading with anybody who was listening for assistance, for humanitarian aid, for help. She was flabbergasted and couldn't understand why armed, masked, jack-booted personnel is attacking her nephew. She's doing her best to comply. She's doing everything that you can do in those situations. She's doing it in a way that is non-threatening and it's not returning the aggression. But as we can see, ICE is not interested in rooting out criminals or rooting out the less desirables or any other labels that the administration has. You can see clearly now that they are interested in targeting, illegally profiling non-white people. And because we have a duty, Native people, all of the personnel that's over at Powwow Grounds right now, everybody from the Indigenous Protector Movement, all of the multitude of organizations and people, human beings, brothers and sisters who are showing up and asserting their right to dignity and peace. We're connecting with everybody else in Minneapolis, St. Paul, because it's clear that they're blurring the lines between what is law and order. We as human beings, as American citizens, as tribal nations, as tribal nationals, we deserve peace and dignity. We deserve to be able to send our kids to school without fear that they're going to be abducted. And that's not just the Native community, but I've been on the ground since Saturday. And in that time, you can feel your cortisol levels rising when you come into Minneapolis, St. Paul, and you see the level of activity on your feed, on your social media feed. You see the various shifts in strategies that they're engaging in, that ICE is engaging in. Fortunately, when the 19th generation keeper of the sacred buffalo calf pipe, Orville Looking Horse, led a prayer the other day in front of powwow grounds. Luckily, nothing happened that challenged the sanctity of the event and the safety of the event. And I want to thank all of those brothers and sisters that were there to secure the safety of our spiritual leaders, our community leaders, and our people here. I grew up on a reservation, but this is our homeland as well. Minneapolis, St. Paul, our native people who've made their lives and careers and invested in the safety, the sanctity, and the life, liberty, and happiness of their families. We all deserve that right to peace, but it's becoming more and more clear that we're going to have to stand up. And it's against seemingly insurmountable odds. But what's different here, and I'm only comparing it to the No DAPL, Standing Rock. I didn't get an opportunity to come and be with the brothers and sisters who had to protect the safety of their families during the George Floyd uprisings. But the city is on edge, and we're here to provide legal support. We're here to connect with local counsel. We're here to connect with other strategy partners who can help us not only make sure that Native people are not targeted, because that is exactly what's happening. There's multiple instances of tribal members being apprehended, tribal members being snatched from the streets for advocating for a safe interaction when ICE is approaching some of our, sometimes it's our houseless relatives. It's people up and all throughout, Franklin Avenue and the surrounding areas. And ICE is going out into the suburbs. They're in St. Cloud, they're in Rochester, they're everywhere else. That's what the city of Minneapolis and our people must recognize, that we're contending with the highest levels of security and the intelligence operations. But now we're normally accustomed to those operations being directed at others in other places across the world. For some reason, this administration and those brilliant people who are truly brilliant, but also diabolical, are executing the full weight and thrust of that security and state apparatus against our own people. So what is the rule of the law? What happens when ICE is breaking the law? What happens if ICE shows up at your home? And they don't.
We're here with Chase Iron Eyes, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here. This is Native Roots Radio, and we are here with Chase Iron Eyes. And, Chase, I don't know if you know this, but Native Roots Radio started because of Standing Rock and all the misinformation that was going on there. So this is, we're on our 10th year, and I know all the great work that you've done. And matter of fact, I've seen you prior to Standing Rock, that you were up here when we were talking about the mascot issue. So I just want to say you've been in this fight for a long time, and thank you so much for being on.
Yes, sir. It's wild to think about, we're aging gracefully, and I'm counting time in decades now, it seems. And I'm blessed to be here. I know that your listeners, those who've paid attention over time, are extremely important in how we continue to get information out and how we continue to create solidarity. Now more than ever, we need unity. We need unity. There are forces that are trying to exploit our fears, our insecurities, our prejudices, in all manner of that operation. That's an operation of the colony, and I don't think there's any place else where it's possible except Minneapolis. And I don't know the whole country that well, but I would have thought LA would be the place where, just what is happening in Minneapolis, where people are willing to stand up. We have to remember that it's a spiritual battle. It's spiritual warfare. And so part of what is happening with the brilliant and diabolical deployment of violence, subjecting women and children and families to corporate sponsored state violence, and also attacking psychologically, because the ICE agents are in masks, their identity is concealed. Sometimes they don't have any identifying insignia. They have open, invisible firearms. It's forced projection. And again, only veterans, military personnel is accustomed to this sort of operation. But now, I don't know why it's being inflicted on the American people. But those of us who remember George Floyd, who remember Standing Rock, who remember the Occupy movement, who remember Franklin Avenue in the 1960s, the American Indian movement in the 1970s, all the way throughout our history. And this is lived history, lived memory that it constitutes who we are. We can see that indigenous nations and the spiritual dignity that we live with, that is extremely important to saving the United States of America, the Republic itself. The lawsuit that was filed, or it wasn't filed, but it was announced by Attorney General Keith Ellison, references the 10th Amendment. So what is that relationship between the federal government and states' rights? That's an old fight. The fight between the different levers of power at the federal level, or the federal, the state, the local, and even the tribal level. And normally, just like when the United States desegregated schools, the president of the United States had to commandeer a National Guard and ensure the safety of a young black girl to be able to attend school. Well, that was for a good reason. Now it's bizarro world, and you have people in there. It's not just the president himself. It's the brilliance and diabolical people that are advising this activity. There's goals that they're not announcing on camera. There's a lot of money being made. The
Yeah.
security state is being ramped up, and they're trying to incite and goad Minnesota, Minneapolis, Portland, Chicago, anybody who they see as political opponents. They're trying to goad them into civil disorder. They're trying to goad them into using fire. For instance, you saw that agent provocateur trying to light an American flag on fire. Like, what is that? We're carrying the American flag. We're carrying it right side up as well. Not only are we indigenous nationals, but we are true and real American patriots. We've defended this land on each side of every single conflict that's ever happened in our land before the United States of America was incepted and invented up until this day. But normally that level of military style violence, which is being personneled by untrained, poorly trained personnel that we don't know who these people are. Some of them could be Proud Boys or members of radical, fringe, racist, terrorist groups. That's who could be the personnel behind those masks. We don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Chase, one of the things that we like to talk about here is solutions. And I know you and I know MUD and all these groups in the Twin Cities have been talking about things. But what I appreciate you coming on the show is that we need to not back down. We need to rise above this. And they want us to give up.
It's shock and awe, and that's why it's a spiritual battle. They want you. They're going to force project. They killed a woman. They killed an innocent woman in broad daylight, so that they could send a message. You see videos of other agents of ICE saying, "Didn't you learn your lesson? Didn't you learn not to disobey us?" So that's what's going on right now, and we can never give up. The future, the destiny of our families is relying on us. So I appreciate the fact that it is a lot to ask people to show up and defend our dignity, defend our American constitutional sovereignty. We have a right to peaceably assemble. We have a right to free speech. We have a right to be free from illegal searches and seizures. And when ICE is filming, they're coming to your people's houses. And do they or do they not have a warrant? If they don't have a warrant, you don't have to let them in. You don't even have to answer the door. But here's the video of battering rams. Imagine how terrifying that is for a family with children inside. That is a dangerous situation. Again, they're going to try to goad us into violence, returning the same aggression and violence that's being instigated against us, or using fire to that. I've seen it before. They declare a civil disorder. Now they're charging people with all kinds of trumped up charges. Nope. Or maybe the pun's intended there, but they're trying to goad us into that activity. So we have to stay as strong as possible. We also need to be fully cognizant and adults about the conversation of what is happening to the United States when you have sitting governors. And you know what? Respect to Governor Walz and to Mayor Fry. They're in difficult positions. Mr. Ellison, the Attorney General. But Minneapolis is ground zero right now. We don't know how long they're going to stay around, but I felt compelled to come here and see all of our people who are leading their lives and just trying to provide for their families. That's all we've ever tried to do, is provide for our families, give our families a future and a destiny maybe that we didn't have when we were growing up. And now we find ourselves in this place where, hey, the free world could be relying on you. Right. Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, they are relying on you to show up. And we are showing up. They are showing up. I'm a visitor in this community, but I'm just here to get in where I fit in. I'm here to be useful in however I can be. And part of that is legal analysis. Part of that is the experience that I bring from the Occupy movement, the Standing Rock movement, Line 3, wherever we've had to meet and defend ourselves against what we see as corporate intrusion and an ever-present incursion or encroachment upon our constitutional rights, our human rights, and our tribal sovereign rights.
Yeah, definitely. So you saw a lot of planning, and there's planning going on, and there was, like, during George Floyd and as you know, during Standing Rock, we are planning things because, like you said, Chase, this is ground zero, and the community is stepping up.
The community is stepping up more than ever, but they're also, one of the impacts of having militarized presences amongst your civilian population, and you got to thank former Governor Jesse Ventura for visiting Roosevelt High School, where normally it's not like, this is not a partisan issue. Like, it doesn't matter what party is in there. There's immigrants being removed, but now they've switched tactics, and there's no decorum in that diabolical, or however you see it, that effort. Now they're going into schools. Now they're going into churches. They're probably going into hospitals. They do not care. They are following Native people. They don't know the difference. It's because we're all indigenous. We were here before Mexico or Canada or the United States, and the communities are non-Native brothers and sisters who are showing up, who are asserting their right to have safe neighborhoods. When those who are charged with enforcing the law are acting outside the scope of that law, that's when conscious Americans have to avail themselves of all knowledge of their rights, because it's not normal. We're not playing in the same field that we expect to be playing in. So stay strong.
Chase, we're going to get back to you again. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a great segment, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, sir.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Mavericks Real Roast Beef. Mavericks has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Mavericks Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 33, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 41. Discover macarons like you've never tasted before at Nicolette's Macarons. Pick up a box of elegant French macarons conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue in Plymouth. Perfect for gifts, corporate events, or just for yourself. Stop in or order online at nicolettesmacarons.com. This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this is Robert Pilot, and we're still here with Chase. And Chase, before we get our next guest on, I want you to bring out some information on how people can find you on the interweb and things like that, and really see you are, because we got a lot of people watching us and listening to us on all the things, and they're really interested about that. So welcome back.
Yes, sir. You can find me and my name at Chase Iron Eyes, but you know, that's always, if you want like a professional, go to Lakota Law, at Lakota Law. That's a legal organization, a public interest nonprofit legal firm that I've been affiliated with for a long time. So more than it's going to be 20 years old this year, and I've been with it since 2011. But the Sacred Defense Fund is also another organization that I'm affiliated with. And if you're an attorney in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area and you want to work together, please reach out. Find a way to reach out. You can reach out to info@lakotalaw.org, or just find me, get a message to me somehow. We're on the ground indefinitely. You know, duty calls. These moments only present themselves every so often, and we want, you know, ICE is bad for business. If we listened, I sat at Powwow Grounds just now, and we all together listened to Ellison, Attorney General Ellison, and Mayor Fry, and the mayor of St. Paul, and you know, we listened to that whole session, and it came to a part where Attorney General Ellison made it evident that they were not necessarily going to file that lawsuit. That first they were going to seek a temporary restraining order, some injunctive relief. And people in the room at Powwow Grounds were underwhelmed because Minneapolis wants ICE out of your city.
Right.
They want immediate action. They don't want a lawsuit. A lawsuit's good. I'm here. I'm an attorney. We're trying to figure out this civil, assertive rights strategy that we can pursue, at the same time making sure that none of our Native people are being hemmed up by ICE and needing to be bonded out, needing criminal defense, needing legal representation. But at the same time, the Governor Walz, our political leadership, needs to take full assessment of the severity and the gravity of the situation that they're in and use all measures. Minneapolis will back you up. Minnesota will back you up. ICE is bad for business.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to go to school. People don't even want to go to the grocery store. The full economic impact. Look, we've already been through George Floyd. We want to protect Minneapolis, St. Paul, all of our property. And with ICE here, it's bad for business. And it's who knows what the sum total impact of ICE's presence here is going to be. But what we know is that the grassroots people of Minneapolis, St. Paul want more from their political leadership. We need to continue to humanize each other and rely on each other, because we here right now can set the tone for what happens in the future as more of these transgressions, more of these illegal profiling, kidnapping, snatching, grabbing, hopefully no more illegal killings, detentions, maimings. I'm fortunate enough that we didn't. I hate the smell of pepper spray and whatever chemicals they're using. It burns. It burns. I don't like the sound of LRADs and concussion grenades. The first time I heard a concussion grenade was just, it's traumatic. And our families should not have to be subjected to that. So we should monitor what is happening at the political level. We should increase that positive pressure. Those of you who are running for office, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and other conscious and brave people here want more. They want ICE stopped.
Absolutely. Hey, one of the things that you brought up, Chase, and we're here with Chase Iron Eyes, was the actors that came in during George Floyd. And we know we had people infiltrate us in Standing Rock. We got to keep our eyes open, and people, burning down pharmacies that our community needed during George Floyd. It's just, we have to stay vigilant and keep our eyes open and keep the communication open double time.
That's absolutely right. I truly feel and I believe that they're trying to create civil disorder. And if ICE is here, they're gonna try to stay here until they create civil disorder. It takes all of the grace, all of the patience, all of your spiritual constitution not to lash out. It does. It takes that. I've seen it before. I've been there. And Minneapolis, St. Paul must stay strong. ICE must be removed from this city. The political leadership need to understand that their constituency would be happy with this. Their constituency demands it. And we need to return peace to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Everything is upended right now. If you read books about the Holocaust and books about fascism in Nazi Germany, the attitudes are the same. The level of force, it will never get there, because never again. We will never let something like that again happen. So those of us who see each other as human beings, spiritual relatives on this journey, we've got to make room for each other. We've got to forgive past transgressions, all of that stuff. We have to come together. We cannot give up, because other Americans are watching us. They watched ICE go to Chicago, and ICE had to leave Chicago, but maybe they met their quota. They went to Portland. They're going everywhere where they see political opposition. And I'm not into the binary, the forced binary of the red and blue. Even though I ran as a Democrat 10 years ago, I'm a different person now. I'm a different man now. And we get to see each other grow. I didn't know Native Roots was birthed through Standing Rock. I'm looking forward to coming back on your show. I'm going to be in Minneapolis for the duration. I feel that those of us who can come in a self-sufficient way, you're encouraged to do so. There is a call out for people who can come to the city and to ensure that law and order is followed, to ensure that those who are purporting to be the arms and institutions of our Republican form of government do not violate the United States Constitution in enforcing those laws that they have. ICE has federal authority, but their authority is limited, and it certainly doesn't cover all of the brutalities, the excessive force that they're executing right now. It has to stop. And so I want to say that stay with it, find a way to participate, find a way to protect your families, find a way. And if you need assistance, reach out. We all of the people who are organizing, from my perspective, from the Native American perspective, and even the legal perspective, the media perspective, any way we can build alliances, we should do that, because our communities deserve to be peaceable. We deserve to have business as usual. We deserve to send our kids to school and expect that they're going to come back without having to face, these armed agents of terror and be traumatized for life. So I've never seen this level of violations. Of course, we've seen it before, but we're talking now about a completely different set of circumstances. They're not playing by the rules. You can expect, when somebody's willing to play by the rules, or if somebody has a conscience, then you can expect some decorum in competing interests. They don't have that here. We have to know exactly what our rights are. We have to know, we can stand on the sidewalks. Yes, we can stand in any public space. Yes, we can film ICE. If they pull us over in a car, ICE isn't there. They don't have the authority to execute traffic and other transport laws. And so you don't have to roll your window down. You don't have to open your door. You don't even have to talk to them. You could just tell them that you need your attorney. If ICE shows up at your house, and you can Google Know Your Rights, or contact us, and we'll make sure you have up-to-date information. We have 2 of our attorneys are digging into it right now. But there are other organizations out there who have published Know Your Rights, but it doesn't go as far as it needs to go. It needs to cover home invasions. Look at Minnesota doesn't have a stand your ground rule, but it has a protect the castle doctrine, where there's no duty to retreat inside your home. If there's an illegal home invasion, and ICE coming to your house, and you're an American citizen, ICE comes to your house as an American citizen with a battering ram and is trying to break the door down and gain forcible entry, they need a warrant. They need a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant that comes from ICE, but a judicial warrant that comes signed by a judge. And inside that warrant will describe the level of force that they can use to gain access. So we've never seen this before. We've never seen law and order going up to peaceful American citizens and completely disturbing their peace, completely destroying any comfortability, any level of being able to live their lives undisturbed and to continue on their own paths. It's wild.
Chase, thank you so much. We got Dr. Stately up next. Really, really appreciate you. We definitely will be in touch. Great to see you, and great to have you on.
I'll be back on, my friend, anytime.
Right on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. Up next, Dr. Stately. We'll be right back. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, Native Roots Radio. Hey, we are here with Dr. Stately. Dr. Stately, I know you've been doing a lot of things happening down by the clinic and happening all over Minnesota, but I know you have big responsibility with your clinic and what's going on Franklin Avenue. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a crazy few days. Hey, today especially, I think. So, yeah, it's like I'm a little bit of a, for being a psychologist, I'm a little bit of an emotional mess today. So, I'm kind of fairly dysregulated. I've been smudging a bit and just got off the phone with a relative who's, also dysregulated. And, but I think that, it's just, we live in such crazy, uncertain times. It's like, I think the thing that's really, quite frankly, disturbing about all of this is like the number of people who I think who are probably the preponderance of whom are not necessarily people of color, white people who are kind of like, doing things like flooding the GoFundMe accounts for, Jonathan Ross, who shot Renee Good, in excess of $500,000, just for, out of a preponderance, or just to make sure that he has resources to protect himself if he gets prosecuted, right? It's like, and then the things that you see online, people saying, it's like crazy. But you know what? It's like, it's insane to me. Like, I was talking to a relative of mine, and they're like, they shot a white woman in front of everybody on live TV, So like, if you don't think that they can't do whatever they want to you, right?
Exactly.
And when I say to you, I'm
moved
saying
the line.
like, yeah, they moved the line. They moved the line, and you got the president and his entire cabinet, and you have, all those, MAGA supporters saying that's just fine. That's okay, right? Either publicly saying it or by not saying anything about it and decrying it, they're basically saying that this is okay, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
they're doing that to U.S. citizens, and it's kind of scary because it makes me think about, like, I remember, back in the first administration when I was like, things are going on with, that crazy time, and it was COVID, and I was stuck at home, and I was watching, endless, just binge watching that that television show, the one about the, oh God, I can't even think straight. I don't know, this how discombobbled I am today. You know, the one about the women. I want to say the Scarlet Letter, but I know it's not that. But it's basically the same thing.
The Golden Girls? Were you watching the Golden?
The Golden Girls. You know, so, yeah. I'd like to see them kick down what's her name's door. Betty White's door. But I mean, I think the point is like, you know, we keep reaching an inflection point in our society here where, like, you know, yeah, Handmaid's Tale. I'm thinking, like, you know, people always think like, oh, this can't happen. Oh, this can't happen. It can't happen. It's not going to happen anywhere. It can't happen in America, right? But here we have it happening right in front of our eyes. A lot of people, you know. I think the thing that always makes me concerned about where we're at is, as a society, is like, you know, for several decades now, you know, the conservative Republican Party has been purposefully sort of undermining laws, you know, stripping things away with purpose and intention, dummying America, right? You can, if you can erase history, and you can erase and you can rewrite history, and you can revision it and make it sound like it's something else by doing all these things that have happened to us over the last, you know, 15, 20 years. You can create a whole group of a generation of people who don't understand their history at all, don't understand that, like, you know, where we came from and how we got to where we're at. And then you make us unintelligent enough that they'll behave like sheep. They'll just comply. And they'll just, you know.
It was interesting what Chase Iron Eyes. I don't know if you heard any of his. He talked about how diabolical and how smart they are in what they're doing. And I never really thought of that take, but he's absolutely right. There's a game plan of this, and they're doing it. And the people that are responding behind their computers on how it's a great thing is a very small but very loud audience out there. And so I'm so proud of Minnesota fighting back.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's just, you know, I went out on the protest the other day in South Minneapolis with my children and my family and a bunch of folks from my community. And, you know, I have plantar fasciitis, a pretty severe case of it. And God, I woke up the next day and I couldn't even barely walk. I couldn't barely move. But, you know, I thought it was really important to show up and, like, you know, and demonstrate and be like, this is just not okay. And, you know, the very public, you know, killing of Renee Good is disturbing. Just to its very core, it's disturbing. But what was hard for me over the last several days is like seeing and witnessing and hearing people from our community being stopped, harassed. You know, some people being pulled from their vehicles.
Right.
The news that they had abducted and detained a descendant from Red Lake here in South Minneapolis, or in Gus Robbinsdale. And then also there was there was a lot of ICE activity on Franklin Avenue at the Cultural Corridor last Friday. And you know, my son is a construction worker. He's a carpenter apprentice working in the construction project in front of our clinic, and like one of the things that he was dysregulated, he was scared, he didn't want to go back to the job site, came over to have lunch with me, and then he didn't want to walk back by himself, and I couldn't walk him at that moment because I had a meeting. I said, well, just stay here, you stay right here, stay close to me. And there's been enough of this activity over the last couple of days that I've just been like really like I was supposed to go to on a 3-day trip down to New Mexico this week for work, but I canceled my flight because I want to stay close to my children, close to my home and my family, and close to the clinic. You know, and I want to be nearby so I can be of service and help in whatever way I can.
We got 30 seconds left, Dr. Stately. Thank you so much for coming on. Any last comments on people taking care of their psyche and their mental health?
Well, I mean, like I was just talking to my nephew, and I said, you know, take out your pipe and pray. You know, and you know, I think that so take out some medicine, pray, smudge yourself, put out tobacco. You know, call in your ancestors, call on our ancestors for support, for protection. Those things are important to do. Remember that we have some things we can do. And then also, like, you know, there's a lot of information that Chase shared with the people, you know, information about what to do, how to respond, know your rights, you know, yeah, and just stay vigilant, stay focused and stay vigilant and stay awake. Oh, that sounds like Native Roots Radio.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Stately. We will be talking to you soon. Thank you for everything you do for our community. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be back tomorrow.
The city of Minneapolis is now